Tove, great to have you here, seated, ready for an interview.
Thank you for inviting me over here.
Yeah. So we're at this Clean Tech for Europe Summit. I think it's been quite fascinating so far. A lot of people here from EU and a lot of investors and a lot of scale-ups. What's your impression?
I think it's been great. A lot of relevant stakeholders and policymakers, entrepreneurs, hearing a lot of different perspectives. It's been a really good day.
Yeah, action-packed. I'm surprised at how this Inflation Reduction Act in the US has really ignited all the EU policymakers.
Right.
It is such a kick in the butt.
Yeah, well needed.
Yeah, it seems. It feels like there's a race for decarbonization happening.
Yeah.
In
it really
EU
does.
corridors.
Yeah.
So thank you, America, for doing that.
Thank you,
I
Biden.
think. Thank you, Biden. So it's a good start of the whole thing. But let's talk a bit about you and Norrsken. Yeah.
Sure.
Tell us a bit about Norrsken. What is it? What do you do? I know all about it since I'm a Swede, but perhaps not all our viewers do.
Sure. So Norrsken is we're building one of Europe's largest impact ecosystem.
Yeah.
So it consists of several different parts. I work for the venture capital fund, the European venture capital fund, called Norrsken VC.
You invest across Europe.
Yes, correct. Yeah, across Europe, across impact companies. So it's a little bit broader than just clean tech. But I think around 80% of our portfolio companies are actually clean tech companies.
Right.
And but Norrsken Foundation consists of more legs.
Yeah, you do a lot.
We do a lot. Yeah, we do. We have co-working spaces in Stockholm, in Rwanda, opening up in Barcelona next year.
Yeah.
We host Stockholm Impact Week. It's an annual celebration of impact entrepreneurs.
Very well visited.
Exactly, making the impact entrepreneurs the next rock stars, the next role models that university graduates can strive becoming like. And we have an accelerator program, which we're hoping will become the Y Combinator of impact. We're a venture building studio, a VC fund in Africa and a seed fund in Africa. And this is only the beginning.
It's incredible. Everything related to startup and growth of impact companies, basically.
Exactly.
You're almost a one-stop shop for it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. You want to make it cool to become an impact entrepreneur,
right?
Yeah. That's one of the goals. I think you are doing really well in it.
And impacting as well. I mean, trying to impact the financial markets as well, demonstrating that there's no trade-off between impact and financial returns. Because there's a huge funding gap in order to reach the sustainable development goals.
Yeah, there is. Well, let's then talk a little bit actually about your companies, because you have quite a lot. How many have you put money into now?
We have around 42 companies in our portfolio.
And some of these are really now changing industries and growing fast. Maybe you want to bring some of them up?
Sure. A few examples are Einride, which is an electric kind of transport as a service company, which is also producing electric autonomous trucks. And they're really disrupting the entire truck and transportation system, the cargo owner system, transitioning away from diesel to electrified fleets.
Yeah, and have come quite far.
They have, they've come from, when we initially invested, they were based in Sweden with 1 or 2 pilots, and now they became the first company in the United States to get permits to drive with electric autonomous trucks on the road.
They were the first in Sweden as well, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's first in Sweden, first in the US.
So breaking new ground.
Absolutely,
really,
they are. And they have a lot of great customers, and also been able to attract quite a lot of capital. Even from a debt financing perspective, which we all know within the clean tech sector is holy grail to get hold of.
It is. It's usually too risky in that stage.
Exactly.
So they've done well there also.
So that's one example. Hot Aerospace is another example. Building electric aircraft based out of Gothenburg, which has also been a fantastic journey to be on. We supported Anders, the CEO, when he was essentially, he had just come out of Y Combinator, and he is essentially a visionary entrepreneur with a pitch deck. but it's been going fantastically well.
Yeah, they've gotten orders from airlines and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. From some American airlines and a few others, and have Breakthrough Energy Ventures as investors now as well.
And have they made their first journey, right?
No,
not yet. I thought they had made some pilot journey.
We're not there yet.
It's just wishful thinking.
Exactly. But more companies we've invested in, for example, Northvolt, the Giga Battery Factory.
That's a well-known company.
Very well-known company, yes. It's a fantastic startup or scale-up coming out of Sweden. But we've also invested in a few software companies which are also important within the clean tech sector, like Climate View, for example, which is quite relevant for this audience today. I mean, helping cities to really visualize and reach the climate goals.
Right, exactly.
So that's just a few.
It's just a few. It's an incredibly cool mix of companies. You should check them out if you haven't already. Norrsken's portfolio, and you recently asked them a bit about, because you were part of Cleantech for Nordics, and we're all about trying to provide sort of a Nordic voice to the policy landscape. So you asked your portfolio a bit about that question. Maybe you can say about what they answered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I asked 10 of our portfolio companies, and interestingly, a lot of it resonates with what the entrepreneurs have said here today on stage. There's, I mean, broadly speaking, there's some frustration that the policy making and regulatory processes are a bit too slow. Speaking on the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the kind of looming threat from the US and Asia.
Who seem to be doing things fast when they decide.
They seem to be doing things fast, and unfortunately it's not moving fast enough in Europe at the moment. And whilst the technology companies are moving very fast, there's kind of a mismatch in speed. Also in terms of kind of harmonizing the European market, the European Union market. It can be almost harder to scale within EU than to external markets.
Because implementation of the EU regulations are somewhat differently managed by the countries.
And if you look at regulation and processes, they're often interlinked. So we have really ambitious EU solar strategy, but in order to get there, you also need to make sure that other policies follow. You need to have grid connection, you need to have construction permits, you need to have a few different permits and all aligned, all at the same time, at the same pace. So there are a few challenges from if you're looking just at the policy perspective. Then obviously for any startup or scale up, there's the funding aspect as well. There's never enough funding. No, it tends to be mentioned, of course, as a growth company, you need more funding. Absolutely, and both public funding, but also some sort of regulatory. As a private investor as well, you need some sort of regulatory certainty of where is it heading. In order to know where the policy is heading, what's the EU planning, in order to be able to de-risk and invest in. So certainty about what's coming and when it's coming, speed in implementation, and harmonization so that it's actually the same in all the EU member countries. Exactly. Maybe that is for sure. And also one topic that's been brought up today as well on stage is the need for more labor, green skills, green upskilling. There's some huge bottlenecks within solar PV installation, within heat pump installation, just to mention a few. And that's something that's really needed and could also be seen as a great job creation opportunity. It's a great job creation opportunity for anyone who wants to get into those areas. It is. Yeah, it really is. And a challenge for those who quickly need to attract that talent. Yeah, exactly. But then also one point mentioned, which has also been mentioned a few times today, is creating a level playing field. Both from the aspect of stop subsidizing the unsustainable technologies, because they're currently at a kind of competitive disadvantage when you look at the sustainable technologies. But also ensuring that the startups and the disruptors are actually invited to the table. A lot of them don't feel heard. No. They're not brought into the dialogue early on when it comes to the policy making. Instead, that's the perhaps incumbents brought in that are not really. No, and probably have more resources to deploy and have
put somebody on the job, which the startups don't know. But you are doing part of the job, at least by
exactly.
voicing it here.
But also kind of reaping the awards from the European Union. Unfortunately, sometimes even the financial support that is available still ends up with some incumbents rather than the startups and the disruptors. So those are just kind of a few points. So removing bottlenecks and creating a level playing field, I think, is very important.
And this, that the incumbents get a large part sometimes of the innovation money, was actually mentioned by H2 Green Steel. The CEO there brought it up as well.
And a lot of laughter in the audience.
Everybody seemed to recognize it. Well, thank you. Is there anything you want to add? Is there something more you want to say?
On today's topic, or
about something that Norrsken is doing, or what? Something I've forgotten.
I think we've covered a lot, but I think, going on to the kind of coalition and the Cleantech for Nordics coalition, I think...
Say something about why you joined.
I mentioned the frustration of some startups not being heard. I think it's incredibly important taking the opportunity. In the coalition we're a bunch of different stakeholders, but a lot of investors as well represented, being able to accumulate their voices, being able to engage closely with policymakers and really try to help create the optimum kind of situation for startups and especially for scale-ups, because we've heard that today.
We've heard it so many times.
Yes, we have a lot of innovative, and I think this is highly applicable for the Nordic region. We're a really innovative region. Each Nordic country in its own right is very highly innovative.
And a lot of the companies have done a lot of research. They're ready for commercialization.
Exactly, and still, sadly, somehow we lose them to the US or Asia or other markets when it comes to scaling up. And with the Inflation Reduction Act, that's unfortunately probably just going to increase. So in order for Europe to stay competitive and be a competitive market, I think we really need to focus on hearing these companies out, trying to help them from everything to the startup phase, but especially to the scale-up phase and creating that market for them. So that's one point.
So the EU needs to become attractive.
Exactly,
to the cleantech startup.
I really think so. So that's one point. And I've also realized through this coalition that there's probably not enough collaboration between the Nordic countries.
No, you're right.
We're really small, but in perspective, we're quite small markets individually. But imagine the power if we all came together as a Nordic voice.
We're quite the powerhouse, united.
Yes. And I don't know if you saw today, but they mentioned that there were only 2 countries last year, so during 2022, that matched the US investments per capita.
Exactly, they had as much VC money per capita in cleantech as the US.
Exactly, and Sweden was one of them.
Sweden
and Croatia. And if we can continue being at the forefront, we have everything that's needed, I think, for the Nordics to really continue thriving. But we need to collaborate more.
Well, let's do our part in Cleantech for Nordics in making that happen. Great. I think those are good last words for the interview. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.